blog, or most of it, talking about something that we're all familiar with, but maybe not as familiar as we should be. First, just to round up my week, to say that everything has gone okay. There's no particular news. Tomorrow I shall have my appointments with the Citizens Advice Bureau and Harrogate Borough Council about the benefits should I decide to move on to the housing market. And as you can hear in the background, my birds are on their way to independence. We are 35 days, that's 5 weeks now. One last week and they should be independent. And then I shall wait for their plumage to change colour before getting rid of them. We already have a suspicion that one of them's male and the other 3 are female, but we'll wait and see. Just one final thing, if you hear fluttering around a little bit close, my budgies are out at the moment, so Jens and Wyman may fly around in the background, I don't know. So I want to speak about a topic that people on the forum know I have a deep hatred for. This topic is on Halloween. We've just, British summertime has come to an end now. We've put the clocks back ready for Greenwich Mean Time, and that means it must be the end of October. Now, liturgically speaking, we're moving into the Kingdom season in the Anglican liturgical movement. It's a new season which has basically been the last month of what was Trinity, and it's turned it into a time to think about the dead for the first half and the second coming for the second half. This starts with a festival which is celebrated on the 1st of November. The festival is called All Saints' Day. All Saints' Day is celebrated like any other Christian celebration with a Eucharist. That's how you celebrate Christian festivals, apart from Easter and Christmas, and that's basically all there is to it. It is a time to remember those people who have died, who have been classified by the Church as saints, which means they're sort of humans but should provide inspiration to us in the way that they've lived, theologically speaking. 2 days after that, of course, you have the 3rd of November, which is the commemoration of All Souls, which is for all the dearly departed, all Christians who have died. And a special a form of the Eucharist, which includes the setting to music of very, very old prayers that form what is known as the Requiem, are done on that day. Now, All Saints' Day is very important to me, and that's because it was the day that I was confirmed as an Anglican. And it is true in the liturgical cycle that the days run from sundown to sundown, meaning, of course, that All Saints' Day begins officially at about 5 o'clock on the 31st of October. That does not mean it has anything to do with a festival called Halloween. In fact, Halloween is a completely made-up word, which is attempting to describe 2 festivals which mean completely opposite things that have sort of fallen around the same time and have been squashed together. One presumes that the Feast of All Saints has been celebrated by the Roman Catholics on the 1st of November for quite some time. Probably before Rome conquered these parts and came in touch with the pagans that also celebrated on the 31st of October something called Samhain. Now, Samhain is a name. Although it is a form of harvest festival for certain branches of pagans. The actual name is associated, when you hear some people call it Mischief Night. Samhain in paganism, at least in old paganism, I don't really know about the New Age stuff, was a blood god that had to be appeased around the harvest time. A nasty little sort of devil, really, who would play tricks on people and who needed to be appeased. That's the basis of trick or treat, one presumes. That's also the basis of Halloween, because Halloween is a word which is actually Old English that describes the beginning of a completely different festival, All Saints, by saying the eve of All Hallow. So the name means nothing. Halloween doesn't exist as a single festival. It exists as two festivals that happen to coincide and mean completely opposite things. One of them is Christian, which goes from sundown on the eve of the Festival of All Saints until the sundown on the festival date itself. The other one is celebrated that same evening, the evening of the 31st of October, and it's devil worship to appease an ancient blood god. It is very strange that you don't usually come across people who openly actually indulge in devil worship, but this whole festival, from a pagan point of view, is honouring of an evil entity. That is why people dress up as evil. It's got nothing to do with All Saints' Day, and it's nothing to do with the festival of All Hallows at all. It's got a lot to do with the festival of Samhain. And a lot of Christians should think very, very, very carefully before indulging in celebrating this in any manner at all. A Christian celebration is very easy to identify because it involves a Eucharist and pretty much nothing else. Anything else on top of that doesn't have Christian origins. It can't have Christian origins. Sorry, Jones is eating my curtain rail, which is somewhat annoying. I might have to, if I make some loud noises in the next few minutes, that's why. Now, in the US, I realise that it's taken a little bit less seriously than in the UK. In the UK, you generally tend to get this mass consumer culture, which sells a lot of, evil costumes, and yet everybody who's dressing up doesn't really know why they're dressing up as evil. They just think it's a load of fun. Why not just dress up as evil and have some fun? Well, because if you believe that, there is such thing as good and evil, you believe there's power behind that, and you wouldn't want to be associated with honouring something particularly nasty in any way at all. In the US, they tend to dress up a little bit differently. They tend to just use it as a day of fancy dress. They're not actually dressing up as ghouls or ghosts or evil in quite the same way. Usually they're dressing up as superheroes or something like that. For me personally, I still couldn't in good conscience support anything like that. I feel like I have to say it. It's something that I've repeated on the forums for years, and probably I've spoken about it in a blog before now. But I don't support it. I don't think that in good conscience a serious Christian individual could. But that is my opinion. And I do think that, you ought to investigate it for yourself. You ought to investigate Samhain and understand where the festival comes from. And indeed, investigate All Saints' Day as well. And hopefully you'll come to the same decision that I have, that Halloween is not to be celebrated at all.